When most people think about aging well, they think about things like exercise, nutrition, supplements, or maybe even genetics. And all of those things can certainly matter. But lately, I've been thinking about a little different question. What movements do we actually need to continue doing if we want to remain capable, confident, and engaged with our lives as we age? Because here's what I've noticed. The people who seem to age well aren't necessarily the people doing the most exercise. They're often the people who continue interacting with life. They keep moving, they keep adapting, they keep practicing capability, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. One of the things I teach is that the body responds to what we ask it to do. The body responds to input, experiences, challenges, practice, variability. And while exercise can certainly provide some of that input, life itself provides a tremendous amount of movement practice too. The problem then becomes that many of the movements that matter most are so ordinary that we stop paying attention to them until they become difficult, until they become uncomfortable, or until we realize we've stopped doing them altogether. When people hear terms like strength, balance, mobility, coordination, or resilience, they often think about exercise. But what if those qualities aren't really the goal? What if they're the tools? Tools that allow us to participate more fully in our lives. Because at the end of the day, most people don't actually want better balance just to have better balance. They want to walk confidently. They want to travel confidently. They want to move confidently. Most people don't want strength simply for the sake of strength. They want to carry their groceries, no problem. They want to pick up grandchildren, again, with ease. They want to work in the garden. They want to move through life with a greater sense of ease and purpose. The goal isn't exercise for exercise's sake. The goal is maintaining capacity to live the life you want to live. And when I look at movement through that lens, there are several everyday movements that stand out. Not because they're the only movements that matter, but because they require so many different systems throughout the body to work together. These include getting up and down off of the floor, carrying things, awkward, oversized things sometimes, reaching overhead, walking on uneven ground, rotating and turning, balancing on one leg, reacting quickly when something unexpected happens, and recovering after a stumble or a loss of balance. At first glance, these movements seem incredibly simple, but they're not. They're actually windows into how well multiple systems throughout the body are working together. So come along with me for just a minute here. I want you to think about getting up from the floor. Okay? That's not just one skill. It requires strength, mobility, coordination, balance, problem solving, and confidence. Now, think about carrying groceries. That's not just arm strength. It's grip strength. It's postural control. It's load tolerance. It's endurance and coordination. Now, think about walking on uneven ground. That's not just walking. It's adaptability. It's balance. It's foot function. It's awareness. It's reaction. What looks like a simple movement is often a combination of many different abilities working together. One of the things that I've observed over and over again is that when people stop practicing these movements, life often begins shrinking in subtle ways. Maybe they stop getting down onto the floor. Maybe they stop hiking trails that they used to enjoy. Maybe they avoid carrying heavier things. Maybe they become more hesitant on stairs. Maybe they stop doing activities that they once loved. Not because they're lazy, it is not that, but and not because they're failing, but because certain movements begin feeling less familiar, less comfortable, less accessible. And over time, fewer movement experiences often lead to fewer movement options. But here's the good news, and I do have some really good news for you. The human body is incredibly adaptable. Strength can improve, balance can improve, mobility can improve, coordination can improve, confidence can improve at many different ages. And that's one of the most hopeful things about the human body. We are often capable of more adaptation than we realize. And honestly, at 55, this conversation feels very personal to me because I don't want to spend the next decades of my life becoming increasingly disconnected from the activities and experiences that make life feel rich and meaningful. And I know I'm not alone in that. I want to continue exploring, traveling, carrying things, getting on the floor, moving with confidence, trying new things, participating fully in my life. Not perfectly, but fully. And I really suspect that you probably want the same things for yourself. So, over the next several videos, we're going to take a deeper look at each of these everyday movements. We'll explore why they matter, what systems are involved, why people often lose confidence with them, and most importantly, how we can continue practicing capability as we age. Because healthy aging isn't about staying exactly the same forever. It's about maintaining the capacity to keep participating in the life that you want to live. So, if you'd like to start exploring some of these movement skills at home, I've created a free functional movement home toolkit guide that includes simple tools and ideas to help improve strength, balance, mobility, and movement confidence. You'll find the link in the description below. And I'd love to hear from you. Which of these everyday movements feels most important to you right now? And which one would you like me to cover first in the next video? If you're interested in learning more about functional movement and healthy aging, make sure you subscribe because we've got a lot more to explore.